Hey there, YouTube. Good Tuesday morning. Yesterday was kind of slow. Today we have to rebound. We have to bounce back to get back on track for the goal. Without further ado, let's get into the vlog for today. That was yesterday's little thing right there. Not a ton of items, but I did get all the rolly stuff done. I got this light stuff done. Today, fresh stuff. I can go downstairs and grab that case of Nikon high-end stuff. Sort that, get that going. So let's go and grab that.
Rain reset. We're probably due for another
Behind the scenes vlog. I can vlog the vlogger vlogging the vloggy.
Oh my god.
Okay, there you go. Got the Nikon case, little rolly cord, Yashica, and that other lens under there. So let's get upstairs and figure out what else we're gonna do right now. So now that I got that, the plan in chronological order today is, I guess we're going shopping here at 12, which right now it's 10:52. Gives me about an hour and 10 minutes to do some minor cleanup, edit the vlog for yesterday, get some food in, and I guess go shopping. So, as usual, Tuesday, somewhat packed day. It's nice that we're doing the shopping a little bit earlier today though, because that'll allow me to get the ball rolling with this once I get back. Let's make it happen. Okay, vlog is almost done being edited here. It's time to go shopping though, so I guess I'll have to finish that when we get back. Okay, shopping's done. Back to the office. Let's get stuff done still today. Well, it feels like it's been a while since I vlogged, but now it is the afternoon and I'm just getting in to listing some stuff here. Actually, I was gonna lay out all this Nikon stuff, so I'll do that here in a minute and we'll see what we have. But first off, I tested and cleaned up this old rolly cord, which is a really interesting one because it's a pretty early model. This one was made between 1934 and 1936. It is the rolly cord Type 2, first version of that. And as you can see, it cleaned up pretty well. That one's going to be interesting to list, and I'm curious to see what that'll sell for. Also have this little Yashica 44 camera, which I also cleaned up and got ready to go. This RSAT lens right here is actually a pretty cool one. I showed you that before. It's the Ukraine lens. It's not worth quite as much as I thought it was. I don't remember looking it up before or whatever, but it should still sell for around $300 with the case and everything else there. So I guess that's within the range. It's just low on where I stood there. If I adjust my camera angle there, here's the case for it. And one thing you want to watch out for in fitted cases like this that seem almost original, this one actually is a little bit odd for original case. But in this case, there is actually a hidden top compartment. So let me see if I can figure out how to get this thing open. Yep, just some Velcro right here. And once you open that compartment, there are 3 colored filters in there for the lens. So try not and throw out those. Try not to throw out the case if it has those colored filters in there. And if you're going to try and keep those, I'm going to sell the case with the lens, obviously, in this case, because it doesn't have any bad smells or anything. It seems pretty sturdy, but you always want to make sure and check for those filters in cases like that. I'm getting to the lens here. I'm going to clean this thing up and get it pictured here pretty soon, but that is a really crazy lens. It's for a medium format camera, kind of like a Russian Hasselblad copy, and it's actually a fisheye lens, so it'll give you that fisheye effect. But as you can see, very, very, very solid and works very well. Most of the Russian lenses are not that great. This one, though, is one of the rarities. I think we paid like 35 bucks for this, so pretty good deal there. Okay, so let me get all that Nikon stuff out there, and I'll go through that here quickly too. And here's what it turns out we have. There's the camera right there, Nikon S2. You'll be able to see it a little bit better in pictures once I go through those, once I take them. But this is a Nikon rangefinder camera made to compete with the Contax, and actually use the Contax mount on it. It was made to compete with the Leica cameras of the time. So introduced around like 1945 and discontinued probably in the early 1960s, except for some special editions, which I think they made one in the year 2000 even. So I mean, they had a couple different ones that kept on going, but for the most part, they're discontinued pretty early on. Here are the finders. We have 2 of the multi-focal finders, and it's interesting, one of these here is marked EP, meaning it's sold in Army PX. The other one does not. That one was bought later on than this whole set here. Also, I could not find an EP marking on the case. I'll do one more quick search before I list that up. But that's unfortunate. Also probably not sold in Army PX. And for the most part, these filters, I'll go through them a little bit more carefully, and I'll mention later if I find any, but they don't seem to be sold at Army PX either. Even the filters were usually marked EP if they were sold there. There are those filters, and then there's this set of Kenko filters, which these are all really cool. These are chrome rim. They're chrome rim screw-in filters. Basically the best type of filter you can find for resale. Just 1940s and 50s brass chrome-plated rim filters like that. Very, very good. Those are Kenko. There's one Nikon one right here. And there's just some miscellaneous kind of series filters and other types there. Have this really cool looking case here with a Kenko polarizing filter in it. Just really, really neat. Kenko is one of the earliest aftermarket filter manufacturers, and they have some really interesting history and products from the early days there. They also have a Nikon fan flash unit in the original case right here, which also does not seem to be marked export permitted anywhere on it, so I have to conclude that was not sold to the Army PX. Have some shutter release cables, one really cool one here that's actually original Nikon shutter release cable. If I had to guess, that will probably go for around $40 just because it's the original Nikon one. And then you'll find these in a lot of camera cases. And that's just a retractable dust brush. I don't know why there's so many of those out there, but they are everywhere. And then here are the other two lenses. These are very heavy and sturdy lenses for a rangefinder camera. You usually don't find lenses quite this large for rangefinder cameras. This is a 105 or 135 2.5. Let me take a look at that quickly. I don't know the rangefinder stuff too well. That's a 10.5 centimeter, otherwise known as 105 millimeter f2.5 lens. Test the functionality of it here. Seems very smooth and not too stiff. A lot of these will be seized up due to oil or other things there. If you look at the UV filter here, I'm not seeing an export permitted sign on that one, so it must be a little bit later. But the lens itself, there's the money marking right there, EP, export permitted. It really amazes me the build quality on all these. The rear lens cap is unmarked, but it's actually a metal rear lens cap. And I'll get to the case more in a minute, but it is actually mostly made out of metal. This entire insert, and this piece here, and the entire bottom of the case is all metal. So that's really surprising to me. Can differentiate older Nikon lens caps from newer ones with the metal buttons on the sides. In this case, the smaller printing also gives away that this is actually for a rangefinder camera, so even earlier than most of the SLR type ones you'll find. And then if we look at this other lens here, it also has the money marking EP, export permitted. And let's take a quick look at this filter here. Also unmarked with export permitted thing on there. But that one right there is a 35 millimeter lens. I don't remember the exact F number on it. I'll take off the cap and try to look at it here. 35 millimeter f2.8 W Nikkor. It's interesting, they use this exact same lens in some of the earlier underwater camera lenses, the exact same optical design and the exact same front design in those early underwater cameras. Very odd, the Nikonos lenses. I actually haven't seen a lens cap with an EP marking, but as you can see right here, this lens hood has it, which is really, really awesome. Nippon Kayaku Japan, 5 centimeter f1.4, that's the lens hood for this lens on the camera right there. And then here's the lens hood for the other lens, which this one, unfortunately, is actually just a generic lens hood with no EP markings or anything else. So I guess that's a disappointment. I was hoping we had more than just the one original lens hood. But as for the lens on the camera, let me take it off here for a minute and see if I can find the EP marking on there. I'm really hoping that's what this one is. If the lens hood's marked, I'm assuming the lens is as well. Interestingly enough, since this lens actually does not have a good place to put an EP marking, I don't see one on it. There's just really no good place to put it compared to the other ones that had like a mount flange on it. So I wonder if the EP marking on the lens hood is the only one that would attach it to the Army PX. I don't know, but I guess I can put that on the listing. I'll do a little bit more research. There's a lot of people who've done extensive records and things on these lenses and cameras, so I should be able to find something about that if it was like that. As for the camera, have yet to test it, but it should work. There's the EP marking on there on the shutter knob. So anyway, I guess that's about it. Actually, one other thing I did mention on the case. The case also has EP marking, and it's right here under the flap. I mentioned that yesterday in my vlog, that even the case had a marking, I couldn't find it there very quickly, but the case is in real nice shape, has an original Nikon strap on it, and all in all, this is just a bunch of original stuff, and some pretty rare stuff at that. Definitely want to get this listed up today, because if I'm going to show you the case here, this is actually really interesting. This is the top insert of the case, has some extra things for the finders and lenses and cameras, but this actually pulls right out. That's interesting to me. They made the leather case separately, and then they have an insert that goes in there, and this insert is made out of metal. It's very, very, very solid and very high quality. So that just slides down in there. And then the filter cases up there all seem to be pretty intact. The front is pretty intact, and as you can see, it says a Nikon on the top. So either way, it's going to be worth some pretty good money, but like I said, see the EP marking on it, which would make it a little bit rarer. Usually it would be on the back here of the zipper clasp, or actually on the zipper itself. So I'll take one more look. Other than that, I guess we're going to get in and try and get this stuff pictured and listed. Can't spend all day on it because we got to get enough listed to make the number, make the incentive, and keep the ball rolling, keep the momentum going. I forget what I was saying this morning. Let's see, rebound. That's the deal. Okay, let's make it happen. Okay, we're downstairs here and the whole shoot is cleared off. It's time to take a look at the digital cameras. We gotta kind of preempt and figure out what we need to order for those to get them up and working so I can get them listed here later. So we're just gonna lay them on the chute, see what we have. And there it is, the big SLR camera box. Let's start laying it out and see what we have here. So I'll try to put the camera at the end of the table and keep it rolling. Okay, and there they all are. Not quite exactly as excited as I thought they would be. Seems like we have only about a third of all the digital cameras we picked up in this box. It was kind of chaos trying to get out of there. A bunch of them ended up in the storage unit, but there's what we have. So anyway, these are all film cameras over here, a couple more digitals over there, and then a bunch of miscellaneous accessories right here. But if you look at some of the names on here, I mean, there are going to be some real good ones in here. I'm going to say a good number of these probably aren't going to work. Let's try and unrobe this one here quickly. See if this note on here says anything. Broken. Something wrong with it. 4 parts. So this one's clearly marked, but take a look at that model there. That is a T5i. T5is are pretty pricey straight out of the box. I think they were retailing for around $800. And this one's actually a pretty modern one, but unfortunately does not work. So got to feel what's wrong with it. Should still go for a couple $100 for parts, but there it is. And just have a big variety of other cameras, a lot of them older and a couple newer. So basically the plan is just to order some chargers for those, get them charged up, go through a pretty extensive testing procedure, which will be easier because we have a whole bunch of them. Should be able to do just the same thing on each one and make sure they work before we list them up. Okay, so this one was the one with the tag that said parts not working at all, broken on it. And if you can see here, I was able to find a battery and put it in there. It seems to work just fine. I will be doing a lot more further testing on that in a little while here because I'm sure there's something wrong with it, but whether or not it's completely broken, I don't think it is. It seems to take pictures, so let me try and attach a lens, put a memory card in there, try a few different things, and see how well I can get it working so I can list it up for parts. But was able to find a battery for that one that we had laying around. A lot of these other ones, the plan is to figure out which ones use the same type of battery and figure out how many different types of batteries we're going to have to order, and to make sure we don't order like a battery for each one at $20 each and then they turn out not to work. We're going to order one of each type of battery slash charger, test out all the cameras of that type. Once we're sure they work correctly, then we'll order the remaining amount of batteries we need. You get them all on Amazon Prime and they come pretty quick. So anyway, there should be some pretty good ones in there. There's that one there. That's probably a parts camera. There's this D5100 with a flip-out screen. That's usually a pretty good sign that it's newer, first of all. Some real high-end cameras like the D200, but that's a real old one as well. D90s are pretty decent. Nikon naming systems are weird, but there should be some good stuff in there. The Canon stuff is more what I was interested in. Unfortunately, there's not a lot here. There's a 30D. There's a T5i, there's a 50D that has a tag on it that says does not turn on, so I'll have to try that one out, see what I can do with it. And some other ones here, there's a T3 which should be pretty decent, a couple XSIs, and I don't know, just all in all kinds of different stuff. That's the plan. I'm just going to go through and figure out which batteries fit what. It's kind of funny, the almost tradition these days of changing the battery type every generation is definitely a little bit different in the older cameras. In old Canon cameras, they used to have literally 2 types of batteries in most of their cameras, and then for Nikon, they had the same exact battery in most of their cameras. Nowadays, whew, who knows, they probably have 15 or 20 different types in all the different cameras, so that's kind of annoying. But anyway, got all the batteries figured out. These ones, I have batteries for them already, so I'll be able to test those out. A couple of these other ones, we also have batteries that we can test through a charger system. All the Nikons, except for 2, use the same battery, so that's pretty convenient, which would be those 2. And I guess all in all, ready to go. After I'm done with all that Nikon stuff upstairs, some other stuff, and those lenses from this one place here, we will be tackling this table next. So I guess it's all sorted out now, though. Okay, so this is kind of an interesting case right here. This camera is the one that is marked parts, not working at all. whatever. And I just basically did a full, complete test on it. I tested every button. I tested the video. I tested the photos. I took about 200 photos on it, did all kinds of different things. So I'm pretty sure the only way to double check this thing's working 100% is going to be to do some long-term testing, because they marked it, and I don't know, maybe it was a straw return or something, but this was marked as parts, so I'm curious if it was like an inside job, like, oh yeah, I'm going to mark it as parts, then buy it later, or something. But other than that, I mean, I have a memory card in it, so these kind of cameras kind of suck for that kind of thing, just because of the complexity of them. And what more can you test than everything? So I think what I'm going to do with this camera, though, I think I'm going to actually shoot all my photos on it for a day, plus probably shoot some vlog footage, just because it is a pretty nice vlogging camera. It's got the dual microphones and the back screen there. Of course, it would be better with a microphone, so I don't know how that's going to work super well. So whatever, I'm going to do some more testing on it, basically, and just try and use it in a long-term situation to try and diagnose any problems. It should go for around $400 if it actually works properly, which for $5 or $10, what a deal. But obviously, we don't want it getting returned, which I guess that wouldn't be the end of the world, because then you know there's something wrong with it, but then of course you're paying $40 back and forth shipping and hassle and all that. So I think the best way to go about it is just going to be doing some long-term testing and try and see if I can find anything more wrong with it. I've basically tested everything I can on it, though, straight out of the thing, and it seems like a pretty good deal for what it is, right? So it's interesting, right after I stopped filming there, this camera actually shut off and wouldn't turn back on, and then I took the battery out, put it back in, tried a couple of things, and then I took the battery out, put it back in again, and it worked. Again, 100% perfect in every way. Took the battery out again, put it back in, it didn't seem to work anymore. So far, my theory is that it might even be as simple as dirty battery contacts. It could be like an overheating issue or something. Worst case, I mean, at least it's a sporadic issue, since it does work 100% when it actually does work. I think somebody's going to buy this for parts and make pretty good use of it. I'm almost tempted to try and keep it myself, but if it's not reliable, I really can't do much with it. But here is the theory. As you can see down there, there are the battery contacts, if you can see down there. There you go. There are the battery contacts down there, and I don't know if you can see on the camera or not, but there seems to be some dirt / grime on those. So I am going to try and figure out how to clean those with a combination of pencil eraser and maybe some rubbing alcohol very, very carefully. And I think if that fixes the problem, then that was probably the issue. Otherwise, I'm going to do more extensive testing, like I said. But that is the deal with digital cameras. We've never really liked them because some of them can have long-term issues. Like you send them to somebody, 30 days later they contact you, hey, I was using this camera and then suddenly it stopped working, and we're like, oh no, not a return. So the upsides and downsides of these cameras for sure. The older ones are a lot more simple. The new ones, a little bit too technologically advanced. Okay, kind of hard to get this framed correctly, but let's try it out. Let's see if this thing works now that I've cleaned the contacts. Second I close this door, let me get in frame. This light right here should start flashing. And nothing. Interesting, doesn't turn on or anything. So let's sit around a little bit, try a couple different things, and see if I can get it working again. Let me try a different battery just to make sure the battery is not the problem here. These batteries are not fully charged, they're just random batteries on my junk pile. Oh, and there you go, it was the battery, because now it's got power on. And work 100%, right? Yep, there's your photo. Page through some of the stuff I've already taken here. It all seemed to work 100% before. And there's a video I took, and a very good one.
Testing. Is this camera working?
Yep, it is working. So anyway, not sure. That is a conundrum for sure. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I will try and shoot a bunch of photos on that and see if that helps at all. Let me try taking out the battery and put it back in and turning it on every time a couple times to see if that seems to do anything. So it shows the reliability of these tags here. This one is marked does not turn on, which I figured, that's why I brought this thing up here, because I was like, well, if it doesn't turn on, I can test it quickly. If it doesn't, I'll just list it up, does not turn on, and it should be a pretty quick list, quick sale. Canon 50D, very, very familiar with these cameras. It's not the same as this camera here, but it's the same as one up there that I've used a lot in the past. This was my main camera for a long, long time, so I'm very familiar with it. Put a fresh battery in it, and here we go. It powers right on. Sensor cleaning, screen works. I mean, nope, can't focus on it. Let me put on manual focus here. I already pretty thoroughly tested it. It seems to work 100%. I don't think I have live view enabled, but I try that out here in a minute. Seems to work great. And not only that, well, except for that, I didn't focus it there. Not only that, I opened the memory card door to check if there's any bent pins, because sometimes that can be a major issue in these. We have a UDMA 16 gigabyte SanDisk card in there, so I don't know exactly what to think about those tags, but I'm going to do more thorough testing on this one. This one, though, is pretty bulletproof. You test the buttons, you check the menu, you take a couple shots, you check the sensor for any dead pixels or anything there. I mean, I'm very familiar with these cameras. These ones are very, very simple to test, so I don't know. I don't know exactly. Doesn't seem to have any major issues. I'll check the shutter count out here later tonight, too, to see if that'll give you any clue. The shutter count's like 300,000, which doesn't look to be. I mean, usually these cameras are really worn out when they're at that kind of shutter count. So anyway, seems to be good. I'm going to go outside and do some scooter stuff now for a quick break and watch the kids at the park because they keep begging me to go outside. Right, Lizzie? Okay, let's go. Of course, Lizzie here has been really trying to shoot hoops lately. See if she can make it. Whoa, first try. That's pretty good. Pretty warm out here today, but let me try and get some scooter tricks. Not sure what I'm going to get. Just a couple miscellaneous ones. Man, it is super toasty out here today, but let me try and just get some sort of basic stuff. Let's see what I can land. Weird, I find backwards double whip's way harder than trying to do a 180 double whip out. My balance sucks. Oh, horrible. Cordy, I'll try one more. Okay, real sucky tricks, not feeling it today. Back to work. Okay, that's a little bit better. Guess let's watch the kids at the park for a little while here in the shade. Not quite back to work yet, but it's weird. I'm not feeling good at all today. I guess I haven't had coffee though, so that could be part of it. I don't know. I tend to be able to just go off coffee and back on coffee. It doesn't seem to be like addiction for me, but none today. So maybe I'll wait and maybe I won't. We'll see. Oh man, this is actually quite a load to hold up here. I'll switch to the other camera in a minute to see if you can see it. This is the camera that supposedly doesn't work and I was testing before. Man, it's hard to hold this thing steady. I'm gonna have to figure out a new setup here. Oh man. I think part of the thing is I'm using this full-size tripod on here, but man, this is quite a weight to hold up there. I think the camera alone is like 6 pounds. This tripod's another 4. Well, that's a little bit better if I hold it just like that. So anyway, I guess I'm filming on this other camera for a little while. Now we're back at the office. It's time to get some listing going. I really actually do like the flip out screen of this thing. The focusing's a lot worse though. Unless you get the newer cameras, as you can see. So I don't think holding out arm's length works well, but I think like this it'll work just fine. We'll just see how the audio is on this thing. It's definitely not as good as my other camera. But all in all, it shouldn't be too bad. And like I said, once it refocuses, it'll be pretty good. So anyway, all these different lenses here are sort of tested and looked at. And my first impression on this stuff, oh man, it is in nice shape. So that's going to be really, really good. All these different lenses, they're literally free of all dust. They seem to work really well. The camera itself actually seems to have been clean, lubricant adjusted recently. As you can see right there, it fires super great and seems to just work super well. So all in all, I'm really impressed with this stuff. It's not going to be like super crazy because we don't have like all the EP marked filters, but without further ado, let's stop talking about it. Let's get it listed, Wheeler. After supper listathon is a go right now. Got to keep the momentum going. Okay, so just finished the imaging on a bunch of these different cameras here. I'm using this Canon 50D here. This is the camera that apparently won't even turn on, so I'm actually surprised I got any images out of it at all. Not sure exactly what those people are thinking who marked it like that, but anyway, here are the photos. Turned out very, very well. I actually use white gloves in a lot of these just to keep the lenses nice and fingerprint free, especially on more expensive things like this. But as you can see, for the most part, these photos turned out very, very well. I try to go up a notch on high-end items versus normal stuff, just for the overall image quality. I don't know why here it seems like Lightroom's having a bit of an issue actually loading each one of these. But as you can see, there they all are. One annoyance I usually find with eBay and really nice items is I like to upload more than 12 photos, but you can't, so I have to be really selective about which photos I actually upload. Decided to sell the camera with the lens and hood and case in this case, and as you can see, there are the photos of that. Now I have two cameras that don't work at all, working perfectly. So anyway, let's get these items listed. Okay, I guess I might as well vlog this here. I decided to check the shutter count quickly on this camera here. Had a couple theories about it and wanted to get some answers. This Canon 50D here had some, I don't know, just travel / family photos on there. As you often find, it seems to be the original memory card in there. I actually have a way of checking that, so I'll be doing that here next. But I wanted to see if I could get the shutter count off of it. Unfortunately, for some models of Canon cameras, you can't easily get the shutter count off of them, except with a software program, which I tried and also didn't work, gave an error message. But I guess my last little thing here, if you go on the photos I just shot here, it says file 100-1059. That means the 1059th photo actually taken on that. The previous photos on there say they're from 2014 and they start with 979 and go up from there. So I can actually check to make sure in the metadata that those were taken with this camera. And if so, I'd say the shutter count is likely 1079. Seems like somebody bought this camera to use it for some family trips, all that, got put in a closet and eventually got sold. And here is where it ended up. With a sticker does not work on it, so I don't even know. But anyway, works great. Get it listed up either tonight or tomorrow. And there you go, exactly what we're expecting. Canon EOS 50D camera and creation date 2014. So that leads me to believe, like I said, this camera has very low shutter count on it. I'm not sure if I'm going to advertise or not that it's 1,000 photos taken with it, but I will say very low shutter count. And it should actually go pretty well. If I had to say, probably $300 to $350. So that's pretty good for a camera like that. Paid only 5 or 10, maybe 12 at the most. What a deal. And of course this one, after the minor contact cleaning, seems to be working flawlessly as well. Man, we got a pretty good deal on a couple of cameras at least from there. Hopefully the other ones all turn out this well. Okay, there you go. Now I'm sort of trying to figure out how Casey Neistat does it here. I have a little bit better, more balanced camera handle, and I think that's more the secret to it. Anyway, all these photos here are done and edited and looking pretty good, as you can see. Let's get those up and listed, and then try to get one more batch in before it's time to go to bed. It is already almost 10 p.m. Wow, the day has gotten away from us. Okay, so we got the camera and a couple other things listed there. Before going to bed tonight, going to try to finish up these lenses, try and get this Russian lens, just get all this stuff in general done. Forget what else I had here. Oh yeah, that's right, I was going to show you. Some people are asking if we're still into the watches recently, and here is a recent pickup. We try not to pick up a lot of watches because basically the camera business is more profitable at this time. It's not really worth it to list watches, but if I find a really good deal, I still can't help myself but to pick it up. We picked this up at, let's see here, where was that exactly? I forget what the flea market's called exactly, but it's the one outside of Minneapolis, a ways. I'll put it up on the screen if I can remember that. I was really having trouble focusing on this thing. That's why my other camera's a little bit better in that regard. Maybe the old Canon camera autofocus was very, very lacking. Let me just set here, get to focus, and then fix the focus. Okay, there you go, that's better. I think I was just getting to the end of the focus range anyway, but ProTrek Casio watch right there. Has a metal bezel, which kind of tipped me off this might be an interesting one, but mainly I just bought it because I was like, well, if it doesn't go for anything, I'll buy it myself. It's a pretty cool, I don't know, kind of camping type watch. We paid right at $10 for this one. And if you want to look up the model number on there, you can. Let me just take a quick look at it there. It is a Casio PRW 2500. And that one there surprised me a little bit. That one really is a quite good one. Has a bunch of different fancy functions on there. As you can see, alarm, record, stopwatch, timer, world time, and then the standard. It's also tough solar and triple sensor and all the fancy stuff there. But I always thought the ProTrek line is a little bit lower in the G-Shock. But it's a fairly old one and apparently pretty desirable because I think we're going to get around 150 for this one, maybe even a little bit more. Just a lot of different ones sold, and they're going for up to like 300 brand new, so that's pretty cool. We've had a couple interesting scores between when I quit the vlog and now, but mainly I just kind of stick to wearing the watches rather than buying and selling them. There's a Woltam, which I think is from the 20s that I've been wearing recently. That's actually really, really cool. It's actually got a replacement kind of glass crystal that was replaced sometime in probably the 50s or something. And this thing runs flawlessly. Has kind of a weird shaking sound in it, but other than that, it's actually in real nice shape for the age. Yeah, so anyway, I guess like a manual focus. Don't need the autofocus to be going all willy-nilly. But anyway, pretty good items here. Just getting them listed and going up. Let's get it done. We'll be staying up all night tonight. Okay, so still filming on this camera that supposedly doesn't work at all. And after the contact clean, I have had zero issues with it whatsoever. Except for maybe a little bit shaky just because of my tripod setup here. But anyway, it's late, but I just finished listing all those different items there. Hopefully get one more batch in there. Was going to go take a quick break though and test these cameras out. We have 3 of them here. We have the 50D, which I already confirmed working. We have this 30D, and I have a couple others. But just wanted to quickly walk you through what I do to do a, I don't know what you call it, maybe just a field test on these cameras. I will test every button and everything else afterwards, but just a quick field test. Basically includes checking there's a battery in the camera or charging up a battery to put in the camera. You turn the camera on, and actually before that I usually check the card compartment on these Canon cameras at least. If you see a card compartment like this, take a flashlight, look in there, and make sure you have no bent or broken pins. It's the first big sign that there's something wrong with the camera, and it's definitely the most common issue. You put a card in wrong, you put a card in backwards, and those pins will be bent and the camera will be completely useless. After that, I'll go into here, regardless of whatever settings it's on, go all the way to the bottom of the page here, and I'll clear settings. First clear all the camera settings, and then clear all the custom functions. This will reset to normal, so you shouldn't have any issues in testing it. Now I'll get a lens and put it on the camera. In this case, just be grabbing my standard 50mm right here. Let's just put that right on there, and I'll switch this to autofocus just so it'll be pretty simple. Then I'll get a memory card and put that in the camera. In this case, just be using the one out of the 50D there. And now that we have that, the first thing you want to check is that number. The number right there that says 999. That means that the memory card is being read by the camera, has successfully been inserted into the camera. Now let's try and focus and take a photo. There you go, that one's pretty blurry. Let's try and change the settings up a little bit here so we can get a clearer one. Now it's on ISO 100, just due to the age of this camera. This is a stock one. Let's put it up quite a bit higher. And there you go, it's kind of hard to see on this camera, but there it is. It is a good image, shoots correctly, and that seems pretty good. Like I said, I'll test all the buttons and dials. I already did a quick test on this one, and the mode dial here is a little bit sandy and stiff, so I'll probably mention that. Check over all this other stuff here. The adapter control, if the viewfinder looks blurry, it's this knob next to the viewfinder. Turn that until it stops looking blurry, so most of the time that can be fixed right there. And all in all, from a quick field test, if I was trying to buy this camera from a garage sale or something, I'd be pretty content with this. I probably would check the buttons quickly. But other than that, those are the few things you need to check quickly to make sure a camera is working. Newer cameras are going to be more complicated and harder to test. This one though, very, very simple. And this is what we're looking for in a lot of these cameras in testing. I shot about 20 or 25 shots of this thing, and it has just kind of a sporadic but persistent Error 99 message. Got a few good shots out of it, so it does work. But with that Error 99 message, that'll definitely have to be described and possibly solve for parts if I can't figure out how to fix it. Error 99 is a really general message. Usually this means like dirty lens contacts or something, but a lot of times it can be persistent and just be an issue that somebody else is going to have to try and fix. This 30D here though, and the 50D that I was looking at before there, both passed testing with flying colors, even though the other one doesn't power on. Still pretty funny. And once again, the day is done and the listing is too little. But it's too late, I gotta get to bed. So anyway, I guess up tomorrow, I just cleaned and tested and got all these filters and the lens ready to go. So I'll be getting those going in the morning, get a little bit of sleep, get back up, hit the ground running. This week is so far on the downshoot, but it's gotta go back up. Momentum has to be reobtained, so let's go for it! That's about it for the vlog for today. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe below if you enjoyed. Stay tuned for another vlog tomorrow. I'll be switching back to the other camera too. So a test of this one seems to work great. Wheeler out. Goodbye.